You're busting your hump more in the gym, so therefore you're needing more food. You didn't do jack shit to your metabolism. You were just able to build it above and beyond in that regard. Where your steps per day at 8,000, now they're at 10,000 per week. That adds up. Some of my nurses, 10,000 to 15,000 steps, and whereas like me working here in my office, if I get 3,000, I'm like, yeah! Okay, fat ass Marty, time to do some damn cardio to keep up with your damn clients. If you first start a fire using kindling, you have to baby that fire. If you were either to drop a whole bunch of logs on that fire or you were to blow on that, it would put it out. But if you let the fire build, which would be either adding in 30 carbs, 40 carbs, before you know it, the wind is taking over and now you have this huge out of control forest fire, and that is what will happen to your metabolism. Machines spit out 1,000 calories, and the most I've ever seen is 350 calories on an hour session, and that was someone gassing it. In a zombie apocalypse, she would win against me, but I'd be more jacked than her. So there she'd be running away from the zombie and I'd be shooting the zombie. They've had their fat allowance for the day. Don't pick the salmon, pick the tuna. And that's intuitive eating.
I could be leaner. I could be in better shape. I could look better for a beach vacation. But that might mean I have to live a lifestyle that I'm just not going to do.
I'd much rather enjoy flexibility in the lifestyle as opposed to if it fits your macros.
Welcome to Stronger You Radio with Mike Dola. Join Mike and friends as they discuss issues to keep you healthy, fit, and on track to create a stronger you. Let's listen in now.
Welcome back, Stronger You family. We have another episode of the Stronger You Radio podcast, this time with one of my good industry friends, Marty McPhee. Met Marty a couple months ago, actually. No, Marty, it was about a year ago we met. And
it's a year ago now.
Really hit it off. Just a lot of the same ideals, a lot of the customer service stuff, a lot of the same principles. And Marty, can you give the Stronger You universe a little intro?
Yeah, sure thing. So I have been in the online coaching space now, just hit 11 years here as of February 2019. I was a personal trainer for about a good 3, 4, 5 years. Kind of got sick of it, really wanted to jump into something more, which was helping out more. Kind of got to the contest prep angle of things where I felt that the lack of customer care was just not there. There was just horrid diet plans being given to people, lack of lack of customer care from coach to client. And that was one of the biggest things I noticed when our gentleman that we know, Nick Sorrell, he just started laughing when I was talking to him. And I was like, why are you laughing? He goes, you just wait till you meet Mike. He goes, you guys are sounding way too similar in terms of what your business model is based upon. So that was it the entire time, was that I saw so many things that I just not only weren't necessary, like one of the classic things I've been using on lots of podcasts is you must eat tilapia and green beans to thin the skin to get in shape on stage. And just I was a 22-year-old kid going, no, this isn't right. I just know this isn't right. So I felt it was my duty and my chivalrous quest to jump in and just try to set the record straight, try to put out the actual science info that's out there, show it that there's better ways to do it, and just not rob people of their money.
I completely agree with you. I think our path to this business is very similar. I just noticed a big area of improvement in the dieting industry, and I was like, I got to get a piece of this. I have to help these people. And it wasn't even like, I want to make a bunch of money. I want to have this big business. That was kind of a thing that just happened when you really just take care of some people. But one of the things I want to talk to you about specifically is this topic of reverse dieting. What people think they have to do out of a bottom of a cut, how to do it properly, where it came from, and really, is there any merit to it at all? So what do you think of when you hear the word reverse dieting?
Well, when I hear it now, I go towards the negative, and that's just not who I am as a person, but the term itself has become so bastardized to the point of when we're looking at someone like Tony Horton, who came up with P90X, switch it up, change it up, switch it up your workouts. And so now every time I hear that, I want to go crazy too. So
where he says muscle confusion. Yep.
Because clearly your biceps are going to forget how to biceps and need to be retrained how to do that, right? Which it sounds so damn sexy if you think about it, but then wait a minute, no, my biceps always done elbow flexion. Like, what are you guys talking about? So that was the stigma behind the actual first coming of reverse dieting. It was the exact same thing as when you hear of things such as metabolic damage. You hear these concepts that they sound scary and they just don't have the full truth to them. And so reverse dieting, when someone asks me for a plan, especially because I do mainly contest prep at the moment, they say, hey, will we be reverse dieting? I kind of go, and I give them, we will do reverse dieting, asterisk, asterisk, asterisk. And they'll say, what does that mean? I'll kind of go off of my different variations of the speeches of what I saw wrong with that pretty much trademark term of it, and just where you there's no way you need to do what classic reverse dieting says you should do in order to become not only healthy but get ready for your next show and to have a much more psychological healthy place and mentally emotionally good place.
Right. It's almost like it has this, like you said, a trademark, like a brand name. Like reverse dieting is a thing when it's really just to explain a certain thing. Kind of like how intermittent fasting became. It's like some people, they used to just call it skipping breakfast. Now it's like this branded thing. Like when I see general diet advice on the internet, people are like, you got to do IF. You got to do IF. And it's like, just skip breakfast. Eat a little bit later. It's okay.
Yeah. Oh, man, tell me about it. Between the coming back of keto, which people don't even really know fully what that means. You go around and ask a bunch of people, hey, what exactly is gluten?
They don't know. Jimmy Kimmel had a skit on it. It was hilarious.
No idea. They just I think my friend who's Russian gave me a book about it. And it's bad, though. It's bad. So, okay. So this is the problem that we have, Mike, and I know you see it a lot more than me, is that the general populace won't know. And that's what I feel like yourself is doing so great with Stronger You, and I try to do this with my podcast as well, as just cut through the crap and give what the real information is out there. Not only the real information, but the real science, and be able to explain it into terms that they're not feeling lost or confused.
So what is reverse dieting, if it, like in layman's terms?
So reverse dieting is what it was supposed to be is when you are done either a fat loss phase, whether that's 4, 6, 8, 12, 16 weeks, an aggressive, here I am making up words, diet that now you needed to reverse out of to potentially restore your metabolism. Because they kind of went hand in hand with that term metabolic damage, which, thank God, the term metabolic damage itself has been squashed into the ground, and now it has been changed to metabolic adaptation. So we can talk about that later a little bit too. But so reverse dieting, it still is to me supposed to be the quickest, most effective way you can get your body back to post-show care in terms of mental health, physical health, blood markers, hormones, so that you can either potentially go into an off season, which is where you would be optimally putting on muscle and not putting on as much fat, and you would be sane again.
Now, there's some advantages and disadvantages to it, right? Like you don't have to go slow. You can jump right up to maintenance. Is that right?
So here's the thing. The original, I'll give that to, the original schematic was about whatever you dieted for. Let's say you dieted hard for 12 weeks for fat loss. You had to diet for 12 weeks extra to put that back on, because if you didn't, oh no, the fat sand monster would come in the middle of the night and put all the gobs back of fat on you if you did 11 weeks instead of 12 weeks, which thank God science about 4 years came out and said, no, this is not only hindering your gains, but like, do you remember the actual amount of foods some of these people were being put in, especially girls after their shows, like their first week?
It was a gram of fat, 3 grams of carbs. Like it was like nothing.
It was like I had a client that worked with one of the bigger name people in here, and she switched to me, and her first week after her show was an additional 2 grams of fat and 8 grams of carbs. And I saw it from the email out of the horse's mouth. I tried not to believe it all I could. This is not us coach bashing. This is just us showing that, yes, there are people out there that recommend that. What the heck is 8 grams of carbs? Like, right. is that's 4 pieces of gum, Mike.
And the margin of error on 8 grams is like, if you think you're adding 8 grams from one week to the next, you're not. You're not that precise.
Who the hell is going to want to do that and go, you know what, for the next week, I can have 4 pieces of gum and a lick off a spoon of peanut butter, because you've already been dieting for 12 to whatever frigging weeks. Then you're going into almost as extreme a diet So now you've got that 12 weeks plus 24 of dieting. Let's say you in the summer, let's say you have vacation. It is psychologically impossible, let alone mentally and physically impossible too.
Right. I think there might be some merit for the right person to increase slowly, but not that slow. I think that would really mess with someone who is just over the dieting phase and just wants to kind of chill a little bit and transition. To me, that would just be, that's like dieting purgatory. It's like, get me the hell out of this thing.
I can tell you from doing contest prep stuff and seeing some fairly low calorie diets going into the shows, because that's what it takes. That's another take home for everybody here is don't believe the whole, oh, I only did 3 days a week of cardio and I had 200 grams of carbs and all this food. And if you did do that, you were either so enhanced up on drugs or you're the most genetic wonder in the world. So please ignore those people.
Right.
We did a podcast the other day on my podcast talking about these people. They're such outliers. Outliers comes from math where it's like, something is so out there that you can't pay attention to it versus everything else. So if you dieted for 12 weeks, let's just say, and then you were supposed to, according to this magical template, do 12 weeks of reverse dieting, hire me. I can tell you within 4 to 8 weeks, we will have your metabolism and your body ready for off season in that short amount of time. It is I have yet, Mike, to have seen anybody need that full 12 weeks yet.
Yeah, and you're one of the busier guys in the business. You're not one of the guys that has like 3 clients. You actually helped a ton of people, a ton of high-level people do exactly that.
I usually try not to take any more than 10 clients per show because last year, this is not to talk myself up, but it was my busiest year ever. And I think we had a bodybuilding show every single weekend from May up until including the end of July. So I got burnt out to shit. It was 10 weeks, and I probably had about 8 to 10 clients in a show. I'll cop it. Cop it off at 10. And I can tell you not a single one of them even needed close to that 12 to 16 weeks. I would say it was around that 6 maximum. Some of them were 4 if they were very genetically gifted. And would you like me to talk about why they only needed the 4 to 6 weeks as opposed to the 12?
Yeah, because I mean, we have we don't do a lot of contest prep and stuff like that, but we do have a lot of people that hit the bottom of a cut and we bring them into maintenance and maybe a slight surplus eventually. So this can really help those people too.
So let's say even if you were on a moderately aggressive, we'll say fat loss phase, it doesn't need to be you were 1,000 calories underneath or whatever. You were doing 2 hours of cardio a day. No, and just can be aggressive, especially in terms of what you usually have dieted for. So the number one cause of the post-show or the post-fat loss rebound, regain is the mental center. It's one of those things that I don't feel coaches are setting their clients up enough to say, listen, this is going to be hard. You are going to have now a smorgasbord of food that you were either not allowed or you were not used to or did not have in your environment, very damn readily exposed or readily exposed to you. So this is the the world of abundance of food, right? So we have to prepare you for that. So usually around 4 weeks away from the contest. So for you guys, be 4 weeks away from, let's say, your transformation challenge or whatever. This is when that chat needs to happen and say, hey, here is what to expect. Here's what your plan is going to look like. You have access to me to be able to talk through this. I'm going to be on your ass every day after the show. Hey, how's it going? Hey, how's it going? Hey, how's it going? And because I'm sure you guys do the same thing, that I build up this relationship with these people over the years or the months of them coaching with me. So there is no lying there. And so if they do binge or whatever, we get to the bottom of the why.
Right.
Because especially if you have that 4 weeks of setup time. And this is another thing too, ladies and gentlemen, if you're listening and your contest prep coach does not give you a minimum of 2 weeks post-show care, get a hold of me. I will give you a post-show diet and I will take care of you. It will be for free because that's how bent out of shape I am about this crap. Go to my Instagram. It drives me crazy. But anyways, yeah.
Yeah, it's like they leave them high and dry, right?
Go ahead.
Some people are just left high and dry. It's like, hey, you paid.
It's high and dry.
Yep.
It's high and dry.
Yeah.
And not only that, but like it was funny. I was just talking to her before I was on the podcast here with you about one of my friends who she competed last June. She was a bikini girl, natural bikini girl. She came in frigging first. She won. She looked amazing. And she didn't get a single response from her coach on the show day. And the response she got on the day after the show was, it's just effing bikini. It's not that damn hard to figure out. And Mike, I'm imagining. Yeah. I'm amazed I still have this mic and it wasn't thrown across the ground and smashed into a million pieces, because that's exactly what I'm not here for, right? So, anyways, I was talking to this girl and I just heard more and more nightmarish things. And I'm not picking on anyone in particular, but this practice is so there. And when the craziest thing I'm mentioning here is that she was a champion, because I see now, let's say you guys, in the way the bodybuilding shows work, they go all the way up to 16th placing, and then once let's say there's 30 girls in your class, you just keep getting 16th. So in other words, you're just kind of last or whatever. So sometimes I've seen that too. People have their prize pony and then they'll only look after. But this girl came in first. So this was the extreme of the extreme. And so, yes, I helped her out type of thing. And, I think I got a new client coming up here in June, because that wasn't my point. It was just the point of, I do not want to see yet another person who loves frigging fitness, hates fitness now because of a coach or because of another system or something like that, right? So I just couldn't have it.
Right, or someone that's just, mentally a little kind of messed up, because this contest stuff or these long cuts sometimes can, really mess with emotions and your want for extra food. And the post-cut binging is a real thing, and that's why I think, you have to be careful when you do introduce more calories. You don't just default to like all the snack foods and stuff like that.
Well, that's right. When have you ever heard it called mental eating, Mike? It's called emotional eating.
Right.
You can't think, like I've said that all the time. You can't think yourself into food. It's your emotions are what's going to be doing it to you. So let's go I'll go back to that classic whole. If you were dieting for 12 weeks, whether it's a show or not, and then you're told you need to reverse diet out for 12 weeks. So now we're looking at 24 total weeks of, we'll say, restrictive calories. Not necessarily that you have to have the same bland macros or whatever, but that's 24 weeks. That is just shy of a year of you eating foods you potentially don't really want. So show day comes, you come in first, you come in second, you come in third, or your fat loss challenge comes, you do your photo shoot, you do whatever, and now what? So you add in your 8 grams of carbs and your 2 fats, and you do it for a day or two, and you go, F this.
You're still on your diet. It's
for so long, and then they binge. And I can firmly say, yes, it can be avoided. It is almost a bit like psychotherapy, but it's finding out what people's triggers are. Are you now hanging out with your mom who always makes homemade friggin' schnickerdoodles, and now you're eating with her again? Are you out with your friends that drink booze a lot? So you have to be aware of a lot of this stuff. Like, we can go into a lot of that later if you'd like, but it's knowing about this, and that's what I like to have the chat with people about that for. But no, and if you think it's 8 grams of carbs and 2 grams of fat, no, that's not it. Depending upon the level of low calories you released, I usually like to put, like, let's say your cardio was an hour a day, 60 minutes a day. Let's just say that's what it was. I'll usually cut that rate to friggin' half, and then I'll put usually, let's go back to that example. I'll probably put about 30 carbs in and maybe 10 grams of fat, and they'll go, oh my God, what is this? I'm like, listen, you have been eating the crap out of your body, and you are so insulin sensitive, you are so hypersensitive right now, especially if you went after the show, you had a cheat meal. I don't care. That will do nothing. You can't. I've got a pretty famous saying that you cannot get fat in a day, but you can get fat in 2 or more. So go have that damn free meal, go do like that, but then jump on back on that plan, and you'll be able to go, okay, 30 grams, 10 fats, I can do this, because the 8 grams of carbs and the 2 grams of fat, you probably won't be able to do that, especially if you go ahead like Boston pizza, or you had whatever this delicious food is, and now your metabolism is roaring, and now it's just like just like a bear that now had blood. It's like, more. I need more of this. I need more Snickers. I need more of this. But it's having the coaching. It's knowing that they can go back into the gym. And for the most part, people don't like cardio, Mike. I don't like cardio. When me and you were out dancing in Ohio, that's cardio. But you know, but so as soon as you take that away, and then I can even ask them to, hey, do you want to go training right now? And they say, you know what, maybe not today. I say, cool, take it off. And they go, what, really? I'm like, yeah, because you did it for so much. Give yourself a chance to frigging miss it. They'll be like, but am I missing out on all this caloric burn? I'll tell you, unless you're Brian Shaw, the world's strongman, or unless you're Phil Heath or something, you're going to be burning 200 to 300 calories per workout at the maximum. And especially if you're eating now your 8 grams of carbs and your 2 grams of protein, that's going to be, what, a 16th of that? So don't worry about the workout. You'll be jumping right back on there, right? And there are tips and tricks to get around that, but Be in constant contact with your coach. If you do slip up, they will have tactics for you. Maybe it was not enough food given. Maybe it was too much given. Maybe they were freaking out about it. But either way, oh, geez, I sounded Canadian there. There you go. Too much about it. But there's always ways around it, Mike. I have yet to have a client go so far off that we haven't saved them. And I will tell you, it's that 4 to 6 weeks. And what happens in that 4 to 6 weeks, we're usually right back to where we were in terms of macronutrient density at the end of the diet. And so now your 24 total weeks of dieting turns into the 12 plus the 6. So now you're looking at that 18 weeks, because I know this isn't necessarily in your realm, but for my realm, if 24 weeks of dieting versus 16 weeks of dieting, what does that give me? That gives me an extra 8 weeks of off-season growth. How hard was it for you after the first newbie gains you did to gain damn muscle in the gym? How hard was it?
It's impossible. It is the hardest thing in fitness to actually gain muscle. It's so annoying.
So would you rather an extra 8 weeks?
Hell yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And so you explain that to them, and they go, oh, but I don't want to put on fat too fast. I'm like, you are so hyper vigilant. Even if anyone's never been to a show, but they've probably heard their friends say, wow, I look so great the day after the show or 2 days after the show when I had my photo shoot or whatever. That's usually also funny enough because you finally freaking relaxed. So now you're letting all your water drop and whatever. That's usually what it is. And like I said, you can't get away. Sorry, you can't get fat in a day. So, having a little bit of treats here and there is fine, but it's diving right back into the plan, finding the plan that does work for you and knowing that, okay, my food is not on dust anymore and I am eating more, and then still keep around your coach to assess that. And this is another one of the most important things I do as a coach is that, let's say they compete on the Saturday, they have a cheat meal out on the Saturday night, and I usually have my clients check in usually Monday, Tuesdays. I say, do not weigh yourself in until the following check-in. Why? I do not need that mind F from you on that. Just, I want you to tell me how you felt. I want you to tell me how the gym went and tell me how your mentality is, and we're going to go from there.
Right. Now, can you talk a little bit about the metabolic damage versus metabolic adaptation?
Yeah.
I feel like so many people think that from chronic dieting, they have broken themselves.
Yeah, you got it. Oh, so this is one of my favorite topics. So I won't give out who created metabolic damage, but there was a gentleman that very famous, I respect him a lot, came out with the term metabolic damage because he was seeing so many girls come to him that were on 1,000 whatever calories, tons and tons of cardio, and they could not drop weight. They kept putting on weight, and then so he put out this thing saying, okay, it was illegal fat burners, it was things like that, and I still kind of went, I don't know about this. And so then there was a relatively famous study. I'll see if I can find it for you here, where it was 10 people. They were all kind of monitored around or whatever. It was 10 people, and they were told to track everything they ate. And then they had someone following them, writing down what they actually ate. 1 out of the 10 people actually underreported, so she lost weight. 9 out of the 10 people overate in every single situation. And we were talking about 300 to 500 calories. So we're talking this could have been coming from lattes. This could have been coming from condiments. So I know it's one study, but every time we replicate it, that's what we see. We see people that they just ignore these extra calories. And so let's say for a woman, 300 to 500 calories a day. What is that on my phone right here quickly? 300 to 500. I'll even go 400 times 7. That's 2,800 calories extra per day. That's more than probably what they're eating per day. Do you think that's going to throw down 2 pounds of fat?
Oh, dude, yeah. And this is, I say this all the time, and this came up in someone's post on Facebook. They asked, do you think women have it harder than men in terms of losing fat? I said, hell yeah, for a variety of reasons.
Of course you do.
One of them is because their margin of error is so much smaller than the larger dude. And this is it. When someone has, there's a lot of people that might need to stay around 1,200, 1,400 calories to lose weight, and a Starbucks meal, some oil, some condiments, like you said, underreporting maybe like a steak or chicken breast or whatever. These things can add up and hit them so much harder than it does us.
What's the biggest difference between men and females? It's testosterone. Okay, ladies, And I'm not talking exogenous, I'm not talking steroids, I'm talking endogenous inside the body. So just as a side note, if you and your husband both start working out together, this is you're not doing fat loss or anything like that. You don't change your diets. You go in, you both are the personal trainer. And the funniest thing is, and I've trained these people, the husband really doesn't care. He's just kind of there being supportive. He will see ridiculous results without the wife seeing any, and that's because he can squat 500 pounds for 10 reps, whereas you can squat 100 pounds for 10 reps. And what do you think is burning more calories? And not only that, but the testosterone is the male hormone that builds muscle. So therefore, ladies, you are going to have to be on top of your nutrition more, especially if you're someone like my girlfriend who is 5'2" and 130.
Right.
Your calories are going to be about 1,200 to 1,400. Austin and I just did a podcast on that where it was one of the myths was you can only drop your calories down so low before that. No. That's a big bunch of crap. You guys can throw me out the window if you like, but I've had myself, I've eaten 970 calories at one point. Why? Because that was my genetic limit. I had to go. Was it for forever? No. Am I metabolically damaged? No. But a male, like let's say you are 250 and you are whatever, you are probably going to need about 2,500 starting out at the bottom. So, and that girl that was 5'2" and she was eating 1,200, she might top out at 1,600.
Right.
And because here's the other dumb thing, Mike, is that you cannot build the metabolism. You cannot build it past to where it was. You can get it back to where it was. You can get it back to healthier, but you can't build it anymore. So why do people say that?
I'm glad you're bringing this up, man. This is something I wanted to talk about.
Yeah, it's freaking crazy, right? So people are like, I built my metabolism last off season. I was eating 100 grams of protein, 200 grams of carbs, and 50 grams of fat. Just make it really easy. And now this time I'm using 100 grams of protein, 250 grams of carbs, and 50 grams of fat. Why are you now having this greater metabolism? Because you know how to give it more in the gym. You're busting your hump more in the gym. You're lifting more weight in the gym. So therefore, you're needing more food. You didn't do jack shit to your metabolism.
Right.
You were just able to build it above and beyond in that regard. It has nothing to do with you. Your metabolism is something called a set point, and it will never move away from there. And we've tried everything to kind of do that. The only way possible with any kind of that fun stuff would be something like an illegal thyroid medication, which don't play around with that.
Right.
But if you do find that though, like you go the 200 carbs to 250 carbs, that means you're crushing it. That means you're probably your 150 squat for 10 last off season is now a 200 squat for 10. Like that's bossing it. That just means you're now stronger, you're in better shape, and you're coming into a better point before your next fat loss phase. Like that's awesome.
Right. Or you just move more, you fidget more, you walk more. I have so many people, they're like, well, I need 1,400 calories to lose weight, and I want to reverse diet so I could, cruise and live at 2,200. I'm like, well, unless your lifestyle changes and you want to move and work out harder and more and, fidget all day, you're probably not going to get to 2,200. And people do sometimes, like we have clients that will cut down, they'll be like 1,300 calories, and then they just cruise and they stay at 2,000. But it's people that change their lifestyle to support that in a way, like earning your carbs. Like you're getting these carbs and this more food because your body needs it now because it moves more.
One of my coaches named Chris, he called it the 30,000-mile look. It's like back up and look at what everything's happening. Don't look so minutely and finitely on things such as my metabolism went up. No, what was it? Was it the strength? Were your steps per day at 8,000 a week? Now they're at 10,000 per week. I'll tell you, man, that adds up. Thank God for iPhone and Fitbit and things like that. You can check people's steps. And holy Hannah, man, some of my nurses, 10,000 to 15,000 steps. And whereas like me working here in my office, if I get 3,000, I'm like, yes, because now it's like, okay, fat ass Marty, kind of time to do some damn cardio to keep up with your damn clients. But that is a very useful piece of information. Now, does that mean to go say that you should have to do a ton of cardio on this? But no, but they all flow together, and that its success leaves clues. It's not going to be because of the metabolic damage. So what we do have is something called metabolic adaptation. So yes, if we'll keep going back to that girl with the 1,200 calories and the 2,000 calories, is that she is adapted to 1,200 calories right now. And this is an analogy I came up with 2 weeks ago, so you fine ladies and gentlemen get to hear it, is that if you are building metabolism, and I know everyone uses the analogy of fire, but this is perfect, is that if you first start a fire using kindling and whatever, what do you have to do? You have to baby that fire. If you were either to drop a whole bunch of logs on that fire, or what's the other way to make fire grow? By wind, you were to blow on that, what would happen? It would put it out. But now if you let the fire build, you put a couple of the big sticks in there, which would be either adding in 30 carbs, 40 carbs. Before you know it, the wind is taking over, and now you have this huge out-of-control forest fire, and that is what will happen to your metabolism. But if you don't add the materials and the wind at the right time, that is, and when I say that, the not adding the wind at the right time would be the trap of females saying, I have to do cardio after my show or after my fat loss phase because I'll get fat. Oh my God. So one really quick note too, ladies, even if you are doing high intensity interval trainings, how long or how many calories do you think you are burning in a 60-minute session on the Stairmaster? How many? I've seen these machines spit out 1,000 calories, and I just want to cry.
They're liars, man. They're the worst
frigging liars. The most I've ever seen is 350 calories on an hour-long session of 15 minutes of intervals with about 30 minutes of moderate training, and then another 15 or 10-minute intervals at the end, and that was someone gassing it, and that's 350.
And I always said, like, what are the amount of calories you burn just living, not doing that? Maybe 150. So your net balance is 200 calories more, and you busted your ass for an hour. I'm not saying don't do any cardio, because there are, a lot of benefits to it, but it's not the best fat loss tool.
Unbelievable. So I have a girl that's now signed up for Spartan races because she used to do figure shows, and we were talking about cardio. She's like, how much cardio are you doing? I said, how much cardio are you doing? She's like, well, I'm doing this. And I'm not trying to test it too much. I said, okay, listen, for your sport, you now have the time and opportunity where you want to get good at cardio. And she kind of sat there. And I said, for bodybuilding, for fat loss, you want to be so damn terrible at cardio that the least amount works. I said, think about if you're 350 Uncle Pound Roger, who has never been on a treadmill or even in the mall in his life, and he goes and walks around the mall and chases after a kid for 10 minutes, he's gassed. And I bet you he burnt 400 to 500 calories. Now you get a cross-country runner running on the treadmill, their heart rate's probably at like 50, and they probably haven't burned even close to the same amount of calories as you in an hour, but that's their goal.
Right.
So where I'm bringing this is to, if you're at post show and you've been doing an hour of cardio a day, sometimes you see some crazy stuff like 2 hours of cardio a day. Do you really think you burning that 150 to 200 calories when you're adding in your 8 grams of carbs and your 2 grams of fat is going to be holding you back or going to be making you recover? No, it's holding you back. Take out the damn cardio. It is a really easy way to look at it. It's not perfect, but a really easy way to look at it is that you are now effectively eating less. Right. That's how it is. And that's the thing. Your cardio is not going to go away. If you take a week or two break, it'll just kind of reset it. It's like the best example I have is snowboarders. Snowboarders every year, phenomenal snowboarders, and they go put away their snowboards for 4 months, and they come back and they do the first run of the year. They are so damn sore. And I'm like, did you ever snowboard before? Yeah. Well, you just haven't done it in a while. Right. So that's how cardio works. And you'll get bad at cardio, and then that will start working again. And now you'll be up to that 350 calorie burn mark as opposed to that 200 calorie burn mark. And that's right where you want to be. Especially women, you get adapted to cardio so damn easy that you are going to need either more cardio, faster cardio, longer cardio, or you're going to have to just to flat out do more.
Right. It's like, where do you go from there? You don't have to live on a treadmill. Everyone looks at these things as these like calorie burner, fat loss tools, and it's like, it depends what you're doing it for. If you want to be an elite level runner and improve your endurance abilities, you want to get better and more efficient at cardio. If you want to lose fat, it might be a bad thing to be really good at cardio.
Oh, to be really like I said, I remember having one of the girls, I used to call her hop along because she would be literally hopping on the treadmill next to me. Yep. And I remember looking at like her heart rate. Her heart rate was like at 90, and here I am at like 170, just a steady state cardio, dying. And I'm pretty sure she burnt maybe 250 calories in the hour jogging, and I'm like,
Right.
This does not sound for me. That's cool. Like, if she was ever going to be in a zombie apocalypse, she would win against me, but I'd be more jacked than her. So
Yeah, right.
that's fine. So she'd be running away from the zombie and I'd be shooting her down, shooting the zombie down. Right. But no, that is it. You just don't want to be good at cardio for that too. But then you got to take that break. That's why I kind of trick my clients, and I'll say that very nicely into saying, okay, if you've been doing 6 days a week, can you go to half for me? And they go, oh, okay. And you meet them there, and then you can explain this stuff like we've explained to them. I usually try to start this 4 weeks out, so it's starting to get into their brains. And then, because let's put it this way too, for off season, when I say off season, which is we're wanting maximum muscle growth with minimal maximum muscle growth with minimal fat gain, I will not allow more than 3 times a week of 30 minutes of cardio because it's counterintuitive.
Yeah.
And then when you have to start your next contest prep, let's say you're already doing 6 days a week cardio for 60 minutes. What am I going to do now? 6 days a week of 90 minutes? Because that's called the ceiling. It's just like Indiana Jones when the ceiling was closing in. It's like, well, what more other room do you have for me to do? I can't do anything with this.
Well, you're not going to give them 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours. That's just a little ridiculous.
It's ridiculous. They're setting themselves up they're already adapted to that cardio, and so we want to have you become as unadapted as possible. That's where there's no such thing as the metabolic damage, because
Right.
we are very resilient as human beings. We are able to come back from a lot of stuff. I saw Dr. Spencer Nadolsky did a really good talk about hormones. And ladies, if you are concerned that your hormones have gone off, go get blood work done. I know it's a lot easier here in Canada than it is in the U.S., but go get it checked out. And I bet you'll be find us very shocked to see that it's not that far off. So how do people get their blood work shot so far off? Is if you do what I like to call the classic, which is you binge at night, you wake up and you go keto or intermittent fasting during the day, and you make it to 5 o'clock. And then because your habit is when you come home at 5 o'clock that the gummy worms are waiting for you at the door like a dog barking, then now you're going to have not only the health problems, but gummy bears ain't going to be giving you any kind of vitamin B6.
Right.
So and it's just a vicious cycle.
Now, one of the things I want to talk a little bit about is we have our little methods and our ideals behind, like, how you go from strict tracking to more intuitive eating. And when I describe intuitive eating, I don't describe it as like you can just go eat whatever your brain tells you, because we know our environment is not set up for that. So it always will take paying attention.
I agree. Yep.
But how would you graduate someone from like really strict tracking to more, I guess, intuitive eating within our definition?
Sure. So here's how I kind of have 3-ish kind of styles of dieting for contest prep, depending upon what I've seen from them in the past. What I've seen their kind of dieting style would be I call it a set plan with options, which would be, let's say I've got 4, 5, 6 different protein sources, 4, 5, 6 different carbohydrate sources, and about 5 or 6 different fat sources, and I'll say, here are your options. You can choose them and make your own plan. Because for me to write into someone's plan, chicken breast, broccoli, and whatever, peanut butter, and for me to say you have to have that for meal 1, that is going to crap out way before if I say here's your options for each food.
Right.
So that's what I've been using for a long time now. There is some people that will have an allergy, not necessarily even allergy, but a sensitivity, and that's through my assessments too. I see how their bloat, see how their gas is going though, but. Like, do I ever put someone on green beans, tilapia? No, because that is not needed at all. So then how do I transition them into more of an intuitive eating, which would be, when the hunger is balanced, when they do know what the food is, they can kind of eyeball things a bit better than normal. It still would be about 4 to 6 weeks post-show, but I will start showing them how to get towards these things. Like, let's say I even had a guy the other day said, how do I use ground chicken? I said, okay, man, on my substitution sheet, it says right here how to go look that up. And I said, what is ground chicken? He said, well, it's protein. I said, and he said, well, depending on what the cut, it's fat. I said, there you go. So you cannot add fat like an avocado in there thinking it's like a tilapia, because that's intuitive eating. That's you knowing just what the numbers are inside your head. And people will fight me on this and going, I don't want to look at every food as every number like that. No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying is that now you have the knowledge behind these things, like Brian Croman and I wrote at a poke bowl place here, and we saw the 2 options for fish. One was salmon, one was tuna. What is that? Salmon has got fat and protein.
Yep, you have to know these things. Yeah.
But that's it, and that's, in my opinion, the job of the coach, right? So they can show that afterwards, so that they can ask those questions. Because I feel if you aren't able to ask questions to your coach, ditch your coach for flat out.
Yeah, you got to know these things, and I think like I want everyone to eat the foods they like, but part of the job of us is to change the foods they like, so they don't default to the Doritos. Maybe now they found a way, as crazy as it sounds, to enjoy more vegetables, or just eat, a little bit of banana with peanut butter instead of some, bagel and cream cheese. Not that, food composition, that's a whole different topic, but the way things digest and the minerals and vitamins, we have to take that into consideration. And I think people that default to quote unquote the cleaner foods, which we kind of know what people mean when they say clean, I think they're going to long term just be better. And we know these snack foods are so damn easy to overeat.
Even then, introducing some of those things too. Like, I do like people eating dairy, and then like, I don't have a lot of people track their macros unless they're interested in it, because like, if I just said to you, what is salmon? And if they don't know, it all depends on how big of an asshole I'm being that day. Just kidding. I will say, listen, go take a look at it, and if you can't find it, come back to me and they do it, and they go, oh, and then slowly start working into their ideal plan, right? So they like, for instance, they're out at dinner. They know that they've had their fat allowance for the day. They don't pick the salmon, pick the tuna, and that's intuitive eating. But that's not the easiest thing to get there. Yeah. And that's why I do like the set plan with options, because then they can say, okay, Marty, why did you pick chicken with oatmeal as opposed to salmon with oatmeal? And I'll explain the fat content type of thing too. Same thing with Greek yogurt. I call them hybrid foods because there's not one predominant macronutrient in there. Right. But the client has to be ready to learn that stuff, because I've got so many people that they say, shut up and get me in shape, and that's fine too. However, after, like, we'll say showtime comes or whatever, say, listen, we got to have a chat just so I know that you're not going to go hog wild afterwards, because that's kind of like my duty as a human being. Yeah. And we force the learning. We think a lot of our clients, the relationship with food isn't where we want it to be, and we have to show them what these foods are, and tracking is such a good habit builder for them. Oh yeah, because the amount of times I've heard things like, is banana a carb or is butter a fat? Like, I can't laugh. Like, we might think it's something jokey, especially if you follow around enough online message boards or whatever. People will, kind of not insult, but they'll joke around these people, but they don't know. I didn't know growing up. And so I have extreme amounts of empathy for these people. So when they do ask, like, they're not trying to joke around with you. They just want to know. And so the last thing in the world that we should be doing is to kind of, discourage them from kind of any of that stuff. Super quickly, I'll get back to that adaptation, metabolic adaptation. So saying about the 4 to 6, maximum 8 weeks, depending upon how severe the contest prep was. Let's say you were at a figure or a women's physique show, which could be severe there, but it could take that 4 to 8 weeks, depending upon how well did they adhere to the plan. Were they silly and booked a vacation 2 weeks after to Mexico? Please don't book a vacation to Mexico after your show. It's not the environment you want to be in. Wait for a bit longer. Margaritas. Be in an environment that is conducive to things. Wait a little bit longer. No, it's not going to be the entire length, but you will thank me so much later, because you're not only in the off-season state that you should be, your strength is back, you've lost all your water, you're feeling healthy, you're back to yourself, and no, you are not going to go back to where you were pre-dieting. Will you look like you're in shape in shape for stage condition? No. And as soon as you can get rid of that out of your head, that's it's just not realistic. Can you look, let's say 4 to 8 weeks out? Sure, it will require more effort, of course. However, please don't look at your stage photos day in, day out saying, how come I don't look like that? Because that is you at your absolute weakest. But yes, you can remain in better shape than you were before. Yeah, I think that's key. And we see it a lot. People get to the bottom of the cut, they get shredded, they love what they look, but we have to tell them, like, can you and should you live the lifestyle that it takes to maintain that level of leanness? In most cases, I don't think so. And that's kind of how I live my life. I could be leaner. I could be in better shape. I could look better for a beach vacation. But that might mean I have to live a lifestyle that I'm just not going to do. Yep. And you know what's funny is not that I'm sneaking out of the contest prep scene, but I've been really really pushing towards people having photo shoots. And why is this? Because especially here in Canada, we only have 3 kind of rounds of shows, some in March here coming up, then some in June, and then some in October. And if that doesn't fit your schedule, you're kind of fit in that box there. So I had a client named Colette. She had a photo shoot in November. She had some classic cars that her friend had. I said, screw it, let's not you down for a photo shoot. She's like, oh, I don't know. It's not like a contest. Best decision of her life because it was on her time. She wanted to do it. There was no one forcing her to do it. She wanted to do it. She was so empowered by it. And then not only that, but then the next time she wants to get those photos done, they're there. So for instance, for yourself, you know that you could be in shape. So let's say me and you were going to meet up at the Battle Royale here in 2022 in Cuba. You know that me and you are getting in shape because we can. Right. And then it's one of those things, I think it's from that book, The War of Art, where it's like the pro just does a 360 tomahawk jam just to show the boys he's still in business. Like, yeah, we can do that. I can show you I'm still in business if I want to get dieted down. However, I'd much rather enjoy flexibility in the lifestyle as opposed to what if it fits your macros or IIFYM bastardize everything into.
Right. Yeah, and that's what, like, it's funny you mentioned that because sometimes our clients will like hashtag IIFYM and I'm like, no.
Sure.
Like, no, we don't really openly say that because of what people have turned it into, and it's a perception is reality thing. And true, if it fits your macros, is like sweet potato or fruit, not gummy bears or sweet potato. And there's a time and a place, but we know how people handle food and relationships with food. Most people probably shouldn't be filling in their carbs with gummy bears.
Correct, 100%.
But someone like you or me, maybe, I can eat a few gummy bears and be okay. Some people can't.
Once the problem becomes from the few gummy bears, like let's use that example, is from a few gummy bears here and there to now 4 of your 6 meals are gummy bears, that's when the health stuff takes over.
Yeah.
Because everyone likes to, and they call them macros or macro counting.
Yep.
What about your damn micros? The micros are the things that keep, like, it's like the circuitry behind the body and everything like that, and those will fail you. You might look good, but it's like we pull over your 1960 whatever Stingray and we open up the hood and this smoke comes out of the engine. It's like, that's going to fall apart pretty damn quickly.
That's
even
a good
though it
example.
looks good.
Yep.
So that's what you should be doing, is you cannot ignore those micronutrients.
Yeah, we'll always default to, pick the nutrient dense option first. We might say 80-20. It's really hard to quantify that. It's just like most of the time just eat the good, healthier type foods. But yeah, Marty, this is awesome, man. I think we're going to wrap it up. Is there anything else you'd like everyone to hear about?
Don't be as scared as what you think it is in terms of it's needing to be that long. You can recover almost fully. Do not believe in metabolic damage. You do not necessarily have to binge. Either get a great coach or a great friend to help out with that. You can come back looking better than ever, and that you do not have to have any kind of reverse dieting if you really don't want to. But other than that, if anyone's trying to find out more about my crazy rantings on stuff like this, you can check out my Instagram, which is Mega Marty Coach. I also have megamarty.com, and sometimes I'm on Facebook if I just harass Mike here and there.
But Marty, man, thank you so much, dude. You're one of my favorites. I think we click very well. We have a lot of things in common. Just trying to take care of people and do things the right way, scientifically, psychologically, and thanks a lot, man. We'll talk again soon. And Stronger You family, thank you so much for joining us. Join us for the next episode.
Stronger You Radio is a broadcast wellness production powered by StrongerYouFit.com. Content copyright Stronger You. Executive producer Frank Sardella. Thanks for listening to Stronger You Radio. For more information on the podcast, visit StrongerYouPodcast.com.